accomplishment that I'm most proud of. As I reflect back on my career, I worked for the airline for a period of 10 years. And there was this one instance that stands out to me. This happened in the year 2013. I have given birth to my daughter in that year. And after my maternity leave, I was back to office as normal. On one particular day, which was a snowy day, I so vividly remember this incident. I got into my car. It was a 2008 Nissan Altima, and I started driving towards the office. When I reached a bridge, I read a sign that said, "The bridge may ice in cold weather." Even though the sign was there right next to that ramp, I never paid attention to the sign until that day. And suddenly, this thought crossed in my mind: what if I get stuck and I don't make it back home on time? Mm, I am the only source of food and nourishment for my daughter who is breastfeeding, and she is going to starve. I immediately took my phone and I called my manager and I said, "Hello, manager. The road doesn't seem to be safe to drive. I am going to turn around and go back home." Before my manager could say yes or no, I did not care. Not that I did not care. I was too afraid that the manager might say, "No, you have to come into the office." I hung up the phone, I made a U turn, and I went back home. Those days, we did not have any laptops, so there was no concept of working remotely or working from home. We all had to work from our desktop computers, which were in the our headquarters building. So we had to go into the office and work from the computer. There was a VPN solution, but that never used to work correctly for me, connecting my personal laptop through the VPN. So after I went back home, I had these thoughts that were crossing my mind. Uh, what if my manager gets really angry? And my manager was very strict that I did not show up for work, and the manager is angry. And what if I'm fired? Then my very existence to be in this country, in the United States, was tied to my immigration status. And if I lose a job, I will lose my immigration status. I was feeling very threatened and defeated. However, later that day, I received a text message from my manager that said, "I'm glad you went back home because it wasn't safe to drive." I felt a lot of relief. Reflecting back on that day, the actions that made this particular instance as my most uh, proud and accomplished moment in my career was that I stood up for myself, I spoke up for myself, and my action was very much in alignment with my purpose. And my purpose at that time was to be a source of food and nourishment for my daughter. And there was no hesitation or confusion that this was the right action I had to do because I was the source of food for my daughter, that I had to turn around and go back home. And now the part that trumps me the most is, even though I had so many accomplishments leading multiple digital transformation projects and making a lot of revenue for the airline, saving a lot of costs for the airline. When I look back at my career and introspected, this particular moment was very special because I stood up for myself and I was true to myself, and the emotion always trumps the logic. Thank you.